Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we return to Seiko, but this time we are climbing. We are leaving the entry-level and mid-range conversation entirely behind and ascending into the upper reaches of what Japan's greatest watchmaker is capable of when cost is no longer the primary constraint and craft becomes the only currency that matters. The watches on today's list represent Seiko at its most technically audacious, its most artistically refined, and its most historically reverent. Timepieces that do not merely compete with Swiss watches at equivalent prices, but in several compelling cases surpass them. This is a list for the collector who already knows what Seiko can do at $100 and $200 and wants to understand what happens when that same philosophy of relentless precision is applied without limitation. The answer, as today's 5 watches will demonstrate, is extraordinary. Let's get into it. Number 5, Seiko SBB315J1 Prospex 62MS. The Seiko SPB315J1 is a watch with a specific and important origin story, and understanding that story transforms the way you see it on the wrist. In 1968, Seiko produced the 62MS, its very first professional diver's watch, a timepiece of genuine historical significance that helped establish the credibility of Japanese watchmaking in the professional aquatic tool watch market. The SPB315J1 is a faithful modern reinterpretation of that original, not a slavish reproduction, but a deeply respectful conversation between the past and the present that honors every defining element of the 1968 design while meeting the demands of a modern owner. The 40.5mm cushion case with its distinctive angular lugs is immediately recognizable as a descendant of the original, wearing with a vintage warmth and compactness that larger modern divers cannot replicate. The cream dial aged to a warm ivory tone that references the patina of an original example that has lived a full life is one of the most quietly beautiful dial treatments in Seiko's entire catalog, with applied indices of considered proportion and a sword hand set that moves across the surface with unhurried elegance. The sapphire crystal 200-meter water resistance and 6R35 caliber with its 70-hour power reserve, hand winding, and hacking functionality bring everything up to modern standards without disturbing the essential character of the design. The SPB315J1 is the entry point to Seiko's premium JDM dive watch world, and it is one of the finest entry points available anywhere in watchmaking. The Seiko SPB315J1 Prospex 62MS retails for approximately $130 US. Number 4, Seiko SJE073J1 Astron GPS Solar. The Seiko Astron GPS Solar exists in a category of one, and that is not hyperbole. It is a simple statement of what this watch does and what it means in the context of horological history. In 1969, Seiko produced the world's first commercial quartz watch, the original Astron, and in doing so permanently altered the trajectory of the entire watchmaking industry. In 2012, Seiko introduced the modern Astron GPS Solar, and in doing so achieved something equally significant. A wristwatch that receives GPS satellite signals from orbit, sets itself to atomic clock accuracy anywhere on the planet in under 30 seconds, automatically adjusts for any of the world's time zones with a single button press, and powers itself entirely from light, never requiring a battery change for the lifetime of ownership. The SJE073J1 houses all of that extraordinary technology within a titanium case of genuine elegance, lightweight, hypoallergenic, and finished with the surface quality that Seiko's premium manufacturing brings to every material it works with. The perpetual calendar complication means date, day, and year are always correct, regardless of month, length, or leap year. The dial layout balances the technical complexity of its functions with a readability and visual calm that is a genuine design achievement. This is a watch for the traveler, the precision-minded professional, the engineering enthusiast, and anyone who has ever missed a meeting because their watch was 3 minutes slow. The Seiko Astron GPS Solar does not merely tell the time, it receives the time directly from orbit, and it does so beautifully. The Seiko SJE073J1 Astron GPS Solar retails for approximately $2,200, $2,600 USD. Number 3, Seiko SPB239J1 Presage Sharp Edged. The Seiko SPB239J1 belongs to the Presage Sharp Edged series, a collection that arrived with a clear and singular ambition to apply the ancient Japanese craft of kiriko glass cutting to the art of watch dial making, and to produce something that the Swiss tradition, for all its centuries of accumulated genius, had never quite imagined. Kiriko is a traditional Japanese technique of hand-cutting geometric facets into glass to create patterns of extraordinary optical complexity, patterns that multiply and fracture light in ways that shift with every angle of view, every change in illumination, every movement of the wrist. Translating that craft onto a watch dial required years of development, specialist artisans, and a willingness to fail repeatedly in pursuit of perfection that defines the finest Japanese manufacturing philosophy. The result is a dial of genuinely staggering beauty, a deep ocean blue or midnight green surface cut into dozens of precise geometric facets that catch light from every direction simultaneously, producing a living, shifting visual experience that no photograph has ever fully captured and that changes meaningfully throughout a single day of wearing. The 40.2 mm case is slim and architecturally considered. The hands and applied indices are finished with the sharp-edged precision the series name promises, and the 6R55 in-house automatic caliber with its 45-hour power reserve, hand-winding and hacking provides movement quality appropriate to the artistry of the dial above it. The SPB239J1 is not merely a beautiful watch, it is a piece of Japanese cultural heritage expressed in miniature. A kiriko artwork that happens to tell the time. The Seiko SPB239J1 Presage Sharp Edged retails for approximately $120 US. Number 2, Seiko SBGH289 Grand Seiko. A word must be said before anything else about what Grand Seiko is, because there remains a persistent misunderstanding in parts of the watch community that treats it as simply a premium Seiko sub-brand. Grand Seiko is a manufacturer. It is a watchmaking philosophy. It is a set of finishing standards so demanding, so painstakingly defined, and so rigorously enforced that the watches produced under its name occupy a tier of craftsmanship that challenges the finest Swiss manufacture houses with total seriousness and without a trace of apology. The SBGH289 is powered by the 9SA5 high-beat caliber, Grand Seiko's most technically significant movement achievement in decades, beating at 36,000 vibrations per hour for a second's hand sweep of liquid smoothness, delivering 80 hours of power reserve, and incorporating a dual impulse escapement of Seiko's own design that reduces friction, improves efficiency, and enhances long-term accuracy beyond what conventional lever escapements can achieve. The 40mm Sai case is finished to the Zaratsu standard, a hand-polishing technique using a rotating zinc wheel that produces mirror surfaces of such geometric perfection and such optical depth that the reflections within them appear three-dimensional. Flat surfaces are genuinely flat. Curved surfaces flow without interruption. The distortion-free finish is something that must be held under light to be believed. The dial carries the influence of the Shinshu Highlands, the mountainous landscape surrounding Grand Seiko's Shinshu studio, in its layered texture and shifting tonal depth. The SBGH289 is a watch that rewards infinite attention with infinite return. It is Japanese watchmaking at its absolute summit. The Seiko SBGH289 Grand Seiko retails for approximately $670 USD. Number 1, Seiko SB315J1 Prospex 1965 Heritage Diver. The Seiko SPB315J1 claims the top position today, and it does so not by being the most expensive watch on the list, nor the most technically complex, nor the one carrying the most celebrated name. It claims the top position because it achieves something that is the hardest thing in all of watchmaking to achieve. It is perfect for what it is. The SPB315J1 is a modern reinterpretation of Seiko's very first diver's watch, the 1965 original that started the entire Prospex story, and it honors that origin with such clarity of vision, such precision of execution, and such depth of historical understanding that it stands as the definitive expression of 60 years of Seiko dive watch heritage in a single object. The 38mm case returns to the intimate proportions of the 1965 original, compact, rounded, and profoundly wearable in a way that the larger modern divers in Seiko's range cannot replicate, while the finishing quality, the sapphire crystal, and the 6R35 movement with its 70-hour power reserve bring the watch fully into the present without disturbing its essential vintage soul. The dial is a masterwork of considered restraint, a deep navy sunburst surface with applied indices of warm silver tones, cathedral hands carrying lumibright in generous quantity, and a simplicity of composition that achieves beauty through reduction rather than addition. The unidirectional bezel turns with the precise, satisfying resistance of a professional tool. The JDM build standard is evident in every dimension: the weight of the case, the quality of the bracelet, the depth of the dial finishing, the tightness of the crown action. The SPB315J1 is the watch that answers the question every serious diver watch collector eventually asks. If you could own only one Seiko, if you had to choose a single expression of everything the Prospex line has learned and achieved across 6 decades of relentless refinement, which one would it be? This one. It would be this one. The Seiko SPB315J1 Prospex 1965 Heritage Diver retails for approximately $401,000 US